this is Timothy Halloran reporting from the underworld of Bonaventure Cemetery, Savannah, Georgia. I am literally seated upon a grave to appropriately deliver the nature of the times. Now we're meeting under a Sagittarius New Moon on December 12th. However, there is much, much more going on than stereotypical Sagittarius this year. So this is deep astrology, and we've got currents currently extending back years that can extend back decades, and we're even talking about generation after generation of ancestry. Now there is also a tremendous throwback, particularly to the end of 2022, end of October 2022. The reason why this is we currently have Venus transiting Scorpio, where she will be through the end of the month. And in October 2022, we had a south nodal solar eclipse conjoined Venus in Scorpio, where Venus is transiting right now. So there's a tremendous reflection on this last year, 2022, relationships, underworld, power dynamics, manipulation, betrayal, the unconscious, this push-pull. Who are they really? What do we really like? What are our passions? There is a tremendous underworld journey taking place. And my guess is y'all are experiencing this in some way, shape, or form. We can see this collectively, and we're experiencing this on the individual level as well. So this Venus in Scorpio is not only reflecting on the past, she is currently ruled by Pluto completing Capricorn. And Pluto is going to be at the anaretic degree, the last degree of Capricorn, from December 20th for about a month through January 21st. So there's this culmination, completion, repeating, remembering, reliving. That's in a very significant way. At the end of 2022, we also had a Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, where we currently see Mercury stationing retrograde on 8 degrees Capricorn, Wednesday the 13th. So again, this tremendous reflection on the past. It's very appropriate for me to be shooting this from Savannah, Georgia, where I lived for 10 years, as I am certainly tracing my footsteps, remembering all that I loved and all that attracted me here, mystically and magnetically, as well as all that I loathed and magnetically repulsed me, all condensed in one small space. Now there's significant changes and transformations going on in terms of how we're relating, both in how we're relating to ourselves, taking care of our own basic needs, as well as how we're connecting and showing up in relationships. At the beginning of this month, December 3rd, Venus squared Pluto. So in the last video, this is what I left off with, is that we're going to begin December with this huge turning of the corner that can really change how we're showing up in relationships, what we value, what we like. It's like a 90 degree or 180 degree shift. And that's a part of what we can be processing as well, is this shifting and this clarity as we're remembering and reflecting on the people and the places and the activities deeply, deeply, deeply. I mean, this is going to go much, much further back than what's taking place topically. This is going to be how our lives may reflect generations of ancestry, going back even dozens of generations. And we are each taking a look at this on the individual level. How has generation after generation carried particular karmic patterns that have been passed on to us? And then how does that show up and get reflected through relationship? And this is why the power dynamics, the struggles, the conversations that are coming up are occurring. Now, Venus went opposite to Jupiter a couple days ago on the 9th, and then is going to be conjoined asteroid Pallas Athena at 10 degrees Scorpio on Wednesday the 13th. This is, again, where the 2022 solar eclipse was at the end of October. So if we reflect back to the end of October 2022, this was a regressive period for many of us. This was a getting down with Venus and Scorpio, which again can have a lot to do with betrayal. It's complex, it's shadowy, it's murky, it's where we're driven by this more shadowy, unconscious not forethought place. So to see the belly of the beast, quote unquote. So we're really, really deep in this belly right now, collectively speaking. Pluto completing Capricorn is no joke. This is a reliving, honestly, of the medieval times, era, epoch. Thousands of years of patriarchy, misogyny, abuse, etc. On my father's side, you may know the Hallorans are Irish, and Hallorans were historically extremely poor, going back dozens and dozens of generations. So on my father's side in particular, there's this motto that we have, which is, quote unquote, eat shit and keep moving. Now, you can even read my face. You may see how some of this has been passed down, but I will let you know, you cannot eat shit and keep moving forever. So where is this occurring? And where can we create change so we can have the sustenance, the nurturance, the connections, the collaborations, and the support that we need to feel truly centered in our soul, our passion, our duty, our dharma? And that may not be totally clear right now. And again, there's a lot of this ancestry. So on father's side, again, Hallorans, there's a lot of sacrifice. Mother's side, we have the Jewish blood. Grandfather survived Auschwitz. Most of his extended family, unfortunately, died in Auschwitz. So I've got my hands full right now, right? But we all do. This is planet Earth. I don't know if you've read a history book, but we've all got, our finger on a certain page of that history book right now. And how has this gotten passed on? How is this being reflected in our relationships? Is this truly loving? Is this truly caring? Now, at the time of this new moon, we're going to see the Sun square Juno. That was yesterday, the 10th. And then the Sun squares Neptune a couple days after the new moon on the 16th. So we've got the Sun T-squaring Juno and Neptune, which brings up these themes of taking care of self versus other, and our own creative aspirations versus their visions and goals. And this is where this theme of sacrifice can very, very much come up. Now, I'm deep in this period of reflection personally. Mercury is stationing on my 7th house, Uranus-Neptune conjunction. So I'm going to speak from a little bit old man, having lived, been there, done that, Timothy. I highly, 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 highly suggest that you do not sacrifice. Do not sacrifice in your relationships. There is no magical reward or gold at the end of the rainbow for these unnecessary sacrifices. And this is an easy thing to say, but for many of us, this is what we can be deeply exploring, is where is this soul undoing? Where is this sacrifice taking place? And how can we change? This is a part of this Mercury retrograde, this fundamental structure, vision, timeline. We're digesting and processing these big Saturnarian chunks. So to create new chunks, to lay a new foundation, to create a new space that works. So we have to till over the frozen tundra. We have to till the earth and turn the earth over in order to make it fertile. And then we can explore and more so discover, hey, what works? Where are we going? So this Mercury is just stationing retrograde now. Again, 8 degrees Capricorn. Tremendous reflection on the past ancestry history. Then Mercury is going to move backwards into Sagittarius on the 23rd, station direct at 22 Sagittarius, January 2nd, before moving back into Capricorn on the 14th. So this can bring us back and then lead us into a bigger picture perspective. And this is the good news with this new moon as well. And I'll quickly explain the mechanics here. Because the sun goes through a zodiac sign roughly a month, and the moon goes 360 through the whole zodiac every month, you can almost see the sun and the moon like an hour and a minute hand. Okay, so when the sun enters Sagittarius, that begins Sagittarius season, but it's not really until we have this new moon in Sagittarius on the 12th that we really start to bring in this Sagittarius cycle. Okay, so we've been in a Scorpio underworld, tilling, digging up, looking at the shadow cycle for the last month, since mid-November. And it is December 12th where we have this Sagittarius New Moon, 20 degrees, that we're birthing Sagittarius. And we can start to get a bigger picture perspective and explore and have a higher vantage point to create this new fundamental spiritual psychological orientation and direction. That's what Sagittarius is in its essence. It is our ontology. It is our orientation to the rest of life via a base meaning. And that meaning is like an umbrella that connects all of the different parts and pieces of life together, which is why Sagittarius is correlated with religion and philosophy. This is our ontology. It's like what matters, what's meaningful, what gives us a sense of purpose and meaning, what fills us up by giving us a sense of being connected to something that's bigger than just ourselves. That's what we're exploring here, and this exploration will largely lead through mid-January, with this new moon opening up the next month. Okay? So again, I mentioned relationships. This new moon is going to square Juno, it's going to square Neptune, and there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty, specifically in relationships. Specifically, how much do we give? How much do we, receive? How much are we closed off? How much are we open? And again, this overall theme of sacrifice, where your old pal Timothy is saying, don't sacrifice. In other words, don't join someone else's reality. Don't give yourself to merge with another's reality. You have to know what your reality is and hold that. And those that can meet you there, allow them to meet you there. But no more bending ourselves all out of shape to meet other people where they are. And sacrificing our desire, will, value system, sense of taste, sense of comfort, basic essential needs. See, I've already walked the monastic path, been there, done that, and I'm letting you all know it's going to lead you to being crippled. It's going to lead you, if you fast all the time, to dealing with food and eating disorders, etc., etc. Okay, so we're coming out of Pisces age. We're coming off of the cross, many of us, at this time. And again, this can largely be reflected through relationships. This does not mean that all intimate relationships are going through hell and there's going to be separations, but this is also a part of the collective. Is in a certain sense, we need enough space. We need enough independence and individuality so not to be thwarted, absorbed, or swept off our feet into another's reality. So this is some of the big healing of the times. And we see Chiron is going to station direct towards the end of this month on the 27th, conjunct the moon's north node in Aries. So this is some big astrology going into this next year. I will probably put out into the store Chiron north node through the houses, so you can each get a sense of how this is going to affect you all in your unique life experience. But this is going to bring up sexuality. It's going to bring up freedom needs, desire needs, independence. There's a lot of healing through separation. There's so much physical, bodily needs and attentions and alarm bells going off. What physically isn't working? Sexual libido, what isn't working? This is a theme of the day. This is a collective crisis. Chiron. Yeah. And for my sensitive souls, we're already feeling this Chiron station, which is almost like this collective bleed out, like puke out, like vomit out, like of every single orifice. It's just like, blah, 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 blah. And then we're having to look at it and till it over and dig it up until we're left with fertilizer. This is the challenge and the goal of Scorpio. So this Chiron station, it's bringing up this crisis for each and every one of us. And how this Chiron in Aries can be experienced, again, because it brings up so much with sex and physical vitality. It can be experienced like a gut punch, or getting the wind knocked out of us. And then we lose our will. We lose our motivation. That's the crises of Chiron and Aries, and that's where we can each be having highly unique experiences that we got to look at. Where is that gut punch? Why? How does that affect us? Our will to live, our motivation, our fundamental life force is Aries. How is this being affected? Because there's some crises in some way, shape, or form that's going to lead us into a healing journey. And that with Chiron and Aries, it's going to be some type of get back up on your horse. Man, woman, they, etc. Get back up on your horse. Where is your unique individual direction that nobody else is going? Charge forward. Get up on your soapbox. Initiate your direction. If that direction isn't there in the world, the way everything that I want to do, I'm like, hey, this is what I love to do. I've got a list of things. Is this going out in the world? Anyone else doing this? No. Okay, I guess it's up to me. That's the crises of Chiron and Aries. No one's doing this. No one's stepping up for this. No one's initiating this. That is the call to action. To do the work that no one else can do. To dare to go where no one else dares to go. And there is the healing journey. And Chiron and Aries is going to lead us into restored life force, restored confidence, the courage to boldly go in our own direction, even if it isn't understood by others, and others are going to say, that's wrong. Well, it's not wrong for us. That's what we're looking at here. How can we honor that without sacrificing? How can we clearly communicate this? How can we bring restoration to our relationships, our body, our sexuality, soul, and psyche? So again, we're experiencing this Chiron North Node already. And this is going to take us through February of this next year. And we're in this very in-between place. End of 2023 into 2024, it is a massive in-between, dig-up, dimensional hop. And there's going to be a significant shift at the start of 2024, particularly when Pluto pops into Aquarius at the end of January. But then when we see this exact Chiron North Node conjunction, February 19th, there's going to be a conjunction between Venus, Mars, and Pluto in the first degrees Aquarius simultaneously. So mid-February, there's something brand new that's taking off. There's something brand new that's landing, but we have yet to get there. And there is this tilling over process. This is the process of Chiron, which is some of the most useful information I think you can know in your birth chart. So also, check out my astrology store. I'll put a link in the video description. And if you're into learning more about Chiron, I highly suggest you check out my material on Chiron through the houses and signs. Because that's going to show us where each of us has this highly unique and individual journey that begins with the healing crisis, just like a punch to the gut that knocks us down on the ground, and then leads us into a healing journey. Just as the mythos of Chiron himself goes, an immortal centaur who's hit in the hoof with a poison dart and he can't die. So he's just endlessly suffering and he searches the whole world for medicine. So becoming the master healer. And then Chiron starts the first school in Athens. He teaches everybody he's the master healer. And eventually he replaces Prometheus on the rock, the sacrificial act himself. The sacrificial act, folks, is the work that only we can do. The sacrificial act is the ancestry that we're inheriting and the work that we need to do to break those karmic, limiting, or oppressive patterns. It's not repeating them. It's seeing how and where they repeat right now, so that way we can end it. And it's almost like putting a stick in a bicycle spoke, and that's just going to end that ride. How and where can we do this? Where does this machine need to be rebooted fundamentally? And that's some of the deeper work we can be doing at this particular time. Now, on the day of this new moon, which joins Mars, so again, this can be good for getting back on our horse this next month. We've got some exploration to do, maybe some traveling, going back to the gym, getting back to our purpose, our roots, what fills us up, what makes us feel big and expansive, connected and centered. But most exact aspect to this new moon is the quincunx to Uranus. And this is this newness, the discovery is a little bit bumpy. It's testy. We are bringing in the new, but it's unsettling. There's a fundamental need for change that's going to really drive the energy. Mid-December to mid-January, it's like, can't do this the same way. Gotta change. Gotta discover it. Gotta open up some road. Gotta experiment. And it's like we're putting on our goggles and our gloves, and it's time to experiment. Fortunately, I think one of the beautiful things about this particular new moon is the quintile to Saturn. And I think that there can be creative solutions to find these new directions, both individually as well as collectively, to build new imagery. It's like building a new inner world of purpose, the spiritual, psychological ontology, this fundamental direction that fills us up instead of causing us to endlessly bleed out, give, have taken. No more bleeding out that doesn't come back in a rich and rewarding, inspiring, and fully tasty way. This is the ending of so many thousands of years of patriarchy at the dying end of a Pisces age. Okay, so the experimentation and the breaking rules is a fundamental part of the collective backbone for our entire lifetime, because we are breaking such deep grooves of patterns through our ancestry. Now, for those of you who would like any support, check out my community. There you can see our list of events. We've got grief circles held by my friend Mango going on every couple of weeks. I'll have my Q&A in events. And I'm super excited to be announcing a 2024 Astro calendar featuring the artwork of my friend Selena, who painted new and full moon paintings throughout the year of 2023. So this calendar is going to feature a new and full moon painting from Selena, plus a very in-depth astrology calendar that I am putting together myself. Now I do everything myself. I do the calendar, I do the graphics, I do the printing, I do the labeling, I do the mailing. So it takes a lot of effort on my part. So I would love to, for those who are interested, we'll get a sign-up sheet going and we'll get a store going. But I would have loved to have this Astro calendar ready to go for Christmas, but I simply can't make that promise. But we will have it set up, so hopefully you'll get this astrology calendar soon into 2024. And I so look forward to seeing you next time. Again, for those who would like to have a little bit more personal support or contact, check out the community. And aside from that, I'm wishing you the very best. Maybe travel, explore, go back to an old place, retrace your footsteps as I'm about to, walking around ye old Bonaventure Cemetery, Savannah, Georgia. As always, I'm wishing the very best to you. Please do take care.